Hello, welcome to a skill of the week for mirror drawing. Now this is a right brain exercise that's good to help you learn how to really see, take your time, and draw something accurately. So what we're going to be doing is you're going to choose from different half faces. Okay, I'm choosing this one. You're going to take the 9 by 12 paper from the paper cabinet, and you're going to get a bottle of glue from the Elmer's glue cabinet, and you're going to glue your half face onto the 9 by 12 paper. Please only put a dot of glue in the corner, because if you glop it all over the whole thing, you're going to have a rippled piece of paper. So it should just be dots in the corner. And glue it, about in the center. Okay? And then you're going to be using your different drawing pencils to be able to draw your image. Okay, so it's going to be important to draw with an HB so that it's fairly light. Okay, so your HB pencil, and you want to take your time and slowly draw the other side of the face matching this face. Okay, so one key element to right brain drawing is don't talk because talking is a left brain activity. So if you're constantly talking, you're throwing yourself out of right brain and putting yourself into left brain. So you'll not hear a whole lot from me while I'm drawing until I stop and show you things. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'm measuring to kind of get a feel for how far out this forehead drops down, or at least that piece of hair that's coming down. Okay, so what I've been doing is kind of piecing together that other side of the glasses. Okay, I'm figuring out where the eye fits. Okay, matching the nose. Okay, it looks like the side of the mouth is directly down from the center of the eye. So make yourself a mark. Now, if you notice, the bottom lip doesn't really have a whole lot to it. You can see a little bit. So I'm just going to make a slight indication of where that we can see the lip. And then most of that is going to be taken care of with shading. Okay. because you don't have to draw every tiny little bit. You just have to notice the shading on it. Okay, hair can be done later. You just want to make sure you get the framework for the face. And you want to think about how wide everything is and where it stops. The bottom of the ear usually lines up with the bottom of the nose, depending on if it's a straight-on facial picture. And then you can kind of get the outside edges of the hair. You want to make sure you don't draw the hair as if it's a big helmet on his head or her head. Okay, just kind of sketch out where those strands are. And then you need to get the shoulders and whatever the person is wearing. Okay. Once you get it kind of sketched out, and it looks like I need to get a few more teeth in there, then you can start shading. Okay, make sure you don't make the teeth look like Chiclet's gum or something. You need to be paying attention to the shapes that you see to match it. Okay, you notice I didn't get like all these kinds of details because really that's just a matter of shading. Okay, so I'm going to start up at the top and work towards the bottom for the shading because I don't want to smudge my paper. If I jump all over the place with the shading, like I want to do dark over here, and then I want to do dark over here, and then I want to work over here, well, that's not a really good plan because then when you go back up to get some details, you're going to end up smudging your paper super bad. So let's see if we can kind of switch this around so that my hand is not in the way while I'm shading. Okay, and you want to really use your pencils. Your 6B is going to be your darkest value. Your 6H is your lightest. But don't work the 6H first because it's a very hard pencil, and if you try and work a soft pencil over the top of it, it kind of wants to repel the pencil lines. So I'm going to kind of work my dark area. Hair can be simple or hard, depending on what you got going on. You just want to watch the direction of how the hair goes. Like this kid's hair is like a mess. It's all over the place. So I'm going to try to make it look kind of tangly, but don't make it longer than what it actually is in the picture. And don't do all kinds of looping and that kind of stuff because hair doesn't loop. It comes from a central location. So I'm going to try to emulate that. So I'm just working around the light areas, putting in the dark areas with my 6B pencil so it doesn't take too much work because 6B will do a lot of dark depths for you without having to try very hard. Okay, so see, starting to get those dark values in there, trying to match them up. Okay, and I'm just working around my dark areas. Trying to make it look like it's a tangly batch of hair. Don't go too solid with the hair. You want to make it look like there's air behind it, so it's not a solid chunk on his head. And you can always go darker after you've got the main stuff laid in there. If you try to go dark right at the beginning and make some mistakes, then you have to do a bunch of erasing. But see, I start kind of light, and then I can always work darker after I figure out, yep, that's where I want it. Nice thing about the 6B too is it can also do light tones. Press a little bit harder for your darker tones, and then you just go a little bit lighter for your light tones. Okay, and I may work that a little bit more, but I want to move on to the face to show you how to do more of the facial tones. These are really light tones, so I'm going to start with my HB, see if I can find it here, which is pretty much the middle of the road, okay? And I'm going to try to match those kind of forehead wrinkles that he's got going on. Really, really lightly. If you notice, I'm keeping my fingers at the back of the pencil. That way I can keep it really light. I can always go back in and darken it, but once it's too dark and you have to do a bunch of erasing, it really is a pain. So if you can keep your pencil lines as light as you possibly can, that's going to help you get the tones that you need. Okay, so see what I'm doing? Trying to match those tones. I don't know if it's visible on your screen very well, but I will have the example in the room. So once I get kind of the darker tones in there, then I can go to the 6H. Make sure you double check it. Don't grab that 6B. The 6H is going to smooth out my tones. Since it's a really, really light value, I can get some other skin tones in there, the lighter skin tones, without leaving it the white of the paper. Because if I leave it too light, then it makes them look like they have no skin tone at all. You want to make sure you get those shadows in there. So like there's shadow in the creases beside his nose. So I want to make sure I get those in there. It looks like he's got a hair that's coming down right here. So I'm just going to kind of connect that so it looks like he's got, it's not going to match because it crosses over, but it will give him kind of a finished look so that you see he's got some hair coming across there. So I would say to start, that's okay. Okay, if I need to, I can finish. Then I can just go back here and work the hair over his ear a little bit. And it seems to tuck around his ear, so I'm not going to make that look as wild as the rest of his hair. He's got some light hair that comes over here. There's dark in between. So you just kind of shade in between that if you can. Still keeping my hand out of the way of the pencil so that I don't smudge it all up with my hands. Okay, so there's your basic idea. Okay, then I can go back with my 2B because that's going to be a little bit harder pencil, but yet soft enough to do these details on the glasses. And it's not as dark as I like, so I'm going to go ahead back with my 6B again, because those details, the shininess on the glasses is pretty distinct. See, and this is when I can go back in. This is a 2B. There's a little bit more shadow underneath his ear. I don't want to get too far on the ear because I got to go back and work on the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with my 2B. Give some definition to the eye, since I know that's in the right place. Thing about, you got to be careful about eyelashes is don't make them look like some sort of weird sun rays coming out, because that's not how eyelashes look. You want to be very precise with your eyelashes. They're just a few little lines coming out. No craziness happening here, unless you've got some sort of supermodel that you're drawing. Okay, a crease there in his eye. And then we see a little bit of shadow here. Make sure you leave some areas for highlights in his eyes. I'll go back to my 6B for the pupil, so it's nice and dark. Back to my 2B for, I think this is, nope, that's 2H. 2B right here. Figured it was a little bit too light. He's got a little dark rim. And then kind of a medium eye with a highlight on the bottom. Okay. I got a little smudge happening. So if you get some smudges because you accidentally work in an area too quickly, then just take your eraser and erase that, your white eraser. Okay, shading a little bit there. Go back to my 2H to clean that up a little. Okay, so you get the point on how to get this kind of matched up. Okay, just make sure you're using the proper pencils to get your shading in there. Don't go crazy with too dark. But you also need to think about, don't be afraid to get at the darkness that you see in the picture, because that's what's going to give it power. Okay. If it's too light, it's all going to just fade into the background. And now I'm looking at this a little bit more, and I can see I need to fix that eye a little bit because it's a little too wide open on this side, and he's squinting a little bit here. So you can probably see it. I need to rework that eye just a little bit to make it closed up a little bit more because he's squinting more on that side. So you can go ahead and get started with that. If you have any questions, then snap a picture of it and send it to me through email and ask your questions. Thanks.